Great afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Conquering Through the Crisis. I am your host, Lamont Gwynn, and you are here because you believe, just like me, that when crisis arise, when trouble, situation, when any difficulty arise in life, that instead of just coping through it, we conquer. And my guest today, let me tell you, I am so excited about my guest. And I keep saying that about each guest, but I promise you, I am excited about this guest because I just have to tell you a little story about her. So when I moved to Orlando, I went to an all-women's event, was the only man there. And she was sitting on a panel. And one of the questions that came up was, how do you deal with work-life balance? And my guess, her answer was, I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life harmony. That everything that I do in my life is about harmony. And for the things that don't harmonize with my life, I say no to. And the things that do harmonize with my life, I say yes to. I tell you, that was a moment for me. So at that point, I had to go up to her. I had to meet her. So I'm going to introduce you to her now. Her name is Gigi Moorman. She is the 2019 Orange County Citizen of the Year. She's the 2018 Woman on the Rise, and she's the 2017 Kappa Alpha Psi Award recipient. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Gigi Moorman to the show. Welcome to the show, Gigi.
Thanks for having me, Lamont. Good to be here.
You're welcome. And I want to thank you for being on the show. I read your fast facts, not a bio. This was some great information, and I want to thank you for sending it to me. And what really struck me, so before we go there, I want to say that the theme of this show today is living in abundance despite crisis. And that theme is so important because oftentimes when we think about crisis and we think about abundance, they don't go in the same sentence, right?
But depending on who you are.
Say it again.
Depending on who you are.
Right, depending on who you are. But for you, Gigi, they do go in the same sentence, and we're going to get into that. But when I was reading your fast facts, what really struck me is the last line. It says, "My 50th year, I am determined to live my life, my best life, to dream big and live an abundant life." And I was like, wow, what an ending to a great list of things that, your life journey. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's go back to growing up from a Haitian family. Just give us just a broad stroke of what it was like growing up in New York.
Oh, well, so I'm a Brooklyn girl through and through. Always claim and rep my city where I was born. I loved growing up in Brooklyn. At the time, it was a very multicultural environment, East Flatbush, and we had tons of Caribbean people in our neighborhood. But it was a fast pace. The city either ate you up or it taught you big things, and you had to have a lot of grit to live in New York. And so I was raised in the Haitian culture. My mom's from Haiti, my dad's from Puerto Rico, but we didn't really do a lot with the Puerto Rican side, but the Haitian side was everything. We celebrated their holidays, we ate the food, we danced to the music, compa. In fact, for Haitian Flag Day, we used to go out and go to a festival here in Orlando rather than when I was a kid. But growing up in Brooklyn was awesome. It was like just being, your neighbors were your family kind of thing. So my mother would go across the street and have coffee with her neighbor who was from London, and the next door neighbor was a DJ, and so we'd have great block parties because he would just bring his turntables outside, and we would just have a good time. Open up the fire hydrants during the summer, and that would be our pool or our beach. So it was great, and I grew up in a big family, so our immediate family was small, but we had cousins that lived 3 blocks away from us, and so they were always over. Sunday meals, my family, my mother and my aunt cooked on Sunday for their families. And I loved my childhood. I loved 8 years of Catholic school. I loved going to high school in New York City, going to Manhattan every day. Was a great thing. At 13, 14, you're driving or riding into the city on a subway train for 45 minutes.
Mhm.
You grow up a lot faster when you grow up in a city like that.
Beautiful. And you got married very young. You were 20 when you got married?
I was 22.
22.
Yeah, yeah.
22. And uh you so you want to talk about that, just broad stroke it a little bit?
You know what I tell people? My 20s were about my marriage.
Mm.
And so I was young, he was young, um, lots of mistakes made, lots of good times had. A new family, becoming part of a new family that is still in my life to this day because they're grandparents to my children and great aunts. Um, the 20s were time when I started to mature. I was always somebody who liked to travel and do different things, and being married, you have certain responsibilities. So it wasn't always the best, but I got two kids out of it. So for me, that was worth everything that I went through in my marriage.
So your children are in their 20s now.
They are. I have a 20-year-old and a 22-year-old, junior and
S-
senior in college.
So one piece of advice, just one piece of advice does what one piece of advice do you tell if you could encapsulate one piece of advice for your 22 and 20-year-old that maybe someone else can for their 20 and 22-year-old, what would you say?
Don't let your fear guide you.
Mm,
Try even don't let my fear drive them, because I worry about my kids all the time, but I want them to experience different things. I want them to travel out of the country. I want them to explore new opportunities. So it would be, don't let fear stop you from doing anything. Don't allow someone else's doubts about your plan convince you to change your plan or to shift. Give it a shot. Whatever you're trying to do, give it your all. If it doesn't work out, you pivot to the next thing. That's what life is all about, figuring out what works for you and what doesn't, and what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy. And as you grow, you start to get rid of more things that make you unhappy and only focus on the things that bring you joy.
right. It's so interesting because I know growing up for myself, um and it's for some people it's a generational thing, because of that generation and the thinking and mindset of that generation. It's something that reverberates throughout that generation of being safe, don't don't push the limits too much.
Hmm.
But fortunately for me, I grew up in a family where we are entrepreneurs. So less education, more entrepreneurs. When I wanted to go to college, my parents was like, listen, we don't have the money to send you to college. And quite frankly, you're not going to take out any loans. You're not going to do any of that. And so, at that age, you kind of listen to your parents. But I love the advice of not allowing your fears. It's so interesting because 2 days ago, I had this, when I was young, I went out to perform for a play, and this
Okay.
gentleman who was directing it, he says, "You've got the stuff for this. You really need to get into acting." And I remember going to tell and I was in middle school. I remember going to tell my mom, and she was like, "You're not doing that. So you just get that out your mind. You're not doing that." And I thought 2 days ago, I thought, man, I wish I was that kid that was rebellious to say, you know what, I'm gonna do
Mm,
it anyway, because at the end of the day, it's my dream in my life, right?
right.
So I love that advice. So
Yeah.
let's talk about um, what brought you to Orlando. How did you get to Orlando? And you're doing a lot of things in here. I enjoy the fact that the events, the organizations, like you have a lot going on, a lot of hats. So can you break that down just a little bit for us?
So moving to Orlando kind of came at a whim. I had never been to Disney, and I took my two children to Disney, and my sister joined me with her son. And we experienced the world of Disney. And after I left, I just was like, didn't I one day say I wanted to work for Disney? Like it seemed like it was a childhood dream of mine to come to Orlando and work for Disney. So that dream was reignited after my visit there. And I went back to Miami and decided that Orlando was really the Florida that I was looking for. Miami was where my daughter was born. I lived there for 3 years, but it reminded me too much of New York.
Hmm.
The fast pace, the expensive, some of the attitude, the drivers, the whole 9 yards. It reminded me of New York, and I had left New York because I wanted the Florida life. So when I came to Orlando and went to Disney, that was the Florida that I was looking for. So I went back to Miami, started making contacts with people that I knew might know someone at Disney, applied for a job, moved to Orlando with no job, got to Orlando, unpacking my car with two young children, and I get a call from Disney. And it was a Wednesday, and they asked me to come in on a Friday for an interview, and on Monday they told me I got the job.
Wow.
So I knew right then and there that I was where I was supposed to be, because I'm a firm believer that those signs let you know that, God is guiding you. And so when that happened, I knew, like, just unpacking my car with two little kids. I knew no one in Florida. I mean, no one in Orlando, um, except for one person through a friend, and I had never met her. So because of her, I was able to find a place to live, that I felt safe in Metro West. But I didn't know anyone here. So I had to rebuild, or I had to build a life for my children and I. And we did. We met people through their daycare. If I saw my kids playing with somebody, then I would try to be that person's friend. And then, we could do some like babysitting swaps. You watch my kids one day so I can have a night off. I'll watch your kids one night so you and your husband can have a night off. And my village started to come together. So quickly, I think. And that again reminded me that this is where I'm supposed to be. So I had a couple of girlfriends that had been introduced to me, one by my orthodontist, that was his wife. He wanted her to like Orlando, and he knew that I had children and she was having her first child. So we instantly became friends. And then a girlfriend in New Jersey met someone that lived in Orlando, but really didn't spend a lot of time in Orlando. So she introduced me to her. And so Nadine and Jillian were two of my first friends here, and they're my sisters. So we created a conscious sisterhood. As Dr. Romy said, that conscious sisterhood is people that accept you, they love you, they're there to support you, and no matter what, you've got your village. So they're my tribe, and we built a really good tribe here that just extended from our work jobs and our families into community service. And so 15 years ago, we started an organization where we delivered baskets of toiletries to a women's transitional housing facility. And then that led to my girlfriend starting a summer camp for girls. And so it goes back to that harmony thing where we're talking about, things that make you feel good, and things that are aligned with your values, and things that are aligned with the businesses that you're in. And they all come together. So I do wear a lot of different hats. I'm a realtor. I consider myself a social entrepreneur. So I'm a realtor because I like connecting buyers and sellers so that we can strengthen community through home ownership. I own an event management company because I like connecting people, connecting them to organizations, connecting them to new professional contacts, connecting them to small businesses. We support a lot of small businesses with our events. And then our charitable work, it's all about connections, and it's all about making connections that benefit the whole versus just me.
Beautiful. One thing that I noticed in you're speaking about when you got here and making those connections and building that village. And it's a theme that ran through every time you spoke about a person was, in order to build a village, in order to get to know people, you have to build common ground. And it's so interesting how you said, the common ground between you and one person was the fact that you have children. The common ground between you and another person was the fact that their children were playing together. So building
Right.
common ground, using that common ground to start a conversation, to get to know people, and then building your village is so important. So
Absolutely.
so where and so you came to Orlando without a job, two children, like there is this invisible je ne sais quoi that
Huh.
exists that makes a person move and have that faith. Can you speak about that? Like, I'm just really intrigued about the fact that, a mom, a mom with kids moving, not knowing what's going to happen, but doing it. Oftentimes people would not do that because of fear. What is it about you that gave you that belief that this is going to be all right? It's going to turn out fine.
Well, we grew up in a very spiritual home. We were Catholic, going to Catholic school, Catholic children. And so our faith in God was always strong. And I was blessed with a positive outlook since I was a kid.
Mm,
My family calls me Pollyanna because I always see the positive in things instead of seeing the negative. I'm the glass half full versus half empty. And so I think that part of my personality just always believed that if I walked in faith, the right things would take place. It doesn't mean that I didn't go through ups and downs and trials and tribulations. There was a period of my life where within 5 years, I was laid off from 3 different jobs, which causes you to have issues with paying your mortgage, and you're on government subsidies and doing whatever you need to do to take care of your family. My mother came here from another country and built a life for her children in America. And so I've always believed that each generation has a responsibility to do a better job than the one before them. She was equipped with certain tools and certain, chutzpah, and she definitely shared that with me. There are a lot of times that I didn't do things because I was afraid. But then there are also times when I knew that I had to do something for myself. I'm definitely a fight or flight kind of chick. So I will fight whenever I have to in order to make sure my family is taken care of. They always came first. So like I was saying before, my 20s were about my marriage, my 30s were about my kids. And then the 40s, this decade that I just left last month, I really focused on trying to do things that made me happy and figuring out who I wanted to be. After losing those jobs and having some bad things happen in corporate America, as far as I was concerned, I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I became an entrepreneur so that I could be in control of my own destiny. We talk about at my events that we want to up your game, control your destiny, sustain your success.
mm,
Derek Lewis and I came up with that, or he came up with it 7 years ago, and it's been one of our foundational mottos for the company and for life. You go through things for a reason. There's a lesson in every single thing that we go through. Every relationship that didn't work out, you found out something about yourself, or you found out what you didn't like about someone else, and you know not to look for that in the next person. Every job that passes, you evaluate, what did I do wrong? What did I do great? What did I like to do? And maybe it's not this anymore. Maybe it's something where I have a bigger ability and capability to create things for other people. So I derive a lot of joy from knowing that I am paying my rent on earth by doing community service.
beautiful. So let's bring it to current day.
Okay.
Um, you know, in this crisis, many people have lost jobs and have even lost lives. Um, and many people have taken this time to kind of evaluate. Some people are shut in scared, but that's not you. So you actually started a business in this crisis. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I want to credit two things that I did in the beginning of the year. One of them was going to the Oprah 2020 Vision Tour in Fort Lauderdale, thanks to a great friend who gave us some tickets to go.
Wow.
Very last minute, but I love Oprah. Miss Winfrey is one of my idols because of everything that she's accomplished and everything that she does. I love her interviews. I love her community service and building a school, the whole 9 yards. So it was a dream to meet her. And after the conference, we actually did meet her, and we got to shake her hand, and I spoke to her, and I told her that that during the session, she talked about something that my girlfriend had shared with me years ago. And it was about God not creating you to be small. He
Mm,
created you to be big so that you can do big things and you can help big on bigger levels. And then I had a mentor, Harold, who said, I know that you're so passionate about helping people in community service, but think about things in a different way financially. The more money you make, the more people you can help. So you have to, my businesses were always about helping other people versus bringing the money into my household. And so as my mindset started to shift, that's where I started to shift in what I was doing with my time. And so real estate, it, started to take up a lot of my time because it provides a better financial basis for my family than my events do. My events were more charitable work than they were financial benefit. So I went to the Vision Tour, and during that meeting, she was telling us to be big and dream big. So when I met her, I said, Miss Wintry, I did exactly what you told me to do, and I wrote down that I'm going to sell Oprah Winfrey a house. And she was like, where are you going to sell me a house? And I said, I'm going to sell you a house in Orlando. And she was like, I said, you wouldn't imagine the number of beautiful lakes that we have. It's going to be a gorgeous lakefront home. And she was like, I love real estate more than most women love shoes. And I was like, here's my card. We need to stay in touch. I mean, she hasn't called me yet, but I know she's going to. But it was a mindset shift going to that event and putting in my mind that I do deserve to have greatness and to be bigger than what I've been. And that it doesn't help anybody to stay small. Then shortly after that, I did the 21-day meditation with Deepak Chopra, and that is about abundance. And so I'm doing the activities and I'm listening to the meditations every day, and I was just feeling more and more inspired to make my 50th birthday, my 50th year of life, the best ever. And then the pandemic took place. And so 50th birthday plans were canceled. I mean, as you can see, I still have my cards and some wine left over for my birthday celebration. But the pivot was, okay, so now I can't have a party in person. I was supposed to have one in New York. I was supposed to have one here. And now everybody's shut in. And so what can we do? So we shifted to a virtual party online, 3 hours of amazing music played by 3 of my favorite DJs, DJ MC, Andre Mack, and Livewire, and talking to my friends in chat groups while those DJs are playing their music. And then I got to spend my birthday with my son, who wasn't supposed to be here. So my son and my daughter were with me on my 50th birthday, and my girlfriend's in a big caravan, drive through my neighborhood, honking horns and playing loud music. And it just, all those things kind of coming together pushed me even more into the realm of dreaming big and doing big. So I had made a commitment to get my real estate broker's license, which I did, I think in October of last year or November. And I hadn't taken the test. I hadn't even studied. I'd been so busy with family stuff and with work that I hadn't taken the test. And when I did take the test, it was because I couldn't cancel the test or I'd lose my money. So I took the test anyway, and I missed it by 1 or 2 points. And it was like, holy crap, if I had actually studied,
Right.
I could have passed this doggone thing. And I wanted to get the broker's license because I wanted the option that if I wanted to open up my own business, I could. And so during the lockdown, I took the time to create my new real estate company, fill out all the forms for the state, and to actually make progress on a goal that I said that I would accomplish, and that was getting my real estate broker's license. I really enjoy real estate. A lot of my clients have become friends. We have a great time, and I know that I'm helping them to do something that is important for their family, that's impacting their family in a great way. And so getting my broker's license during the epidemic, I think was awesome. I was excited. I know I'm sensitive at the same time because I know a lot of people are going through struggles right now. Some people that I know have been furloughed, lost their jobs, they're afraid of losing their homes. But I am focused on making sure that I come out of this experience better and stronger than ever, and in a place where I can soar for the rest of the year.
Beautiful. I can attest to the fact of feeling very lost at one time here in being in these 4 walls and not being able to take pictures of anybody but myself.
Yeah.
And that whole mental shift of, okay, I can't do anything about this pandemic. I can't do anything about not being able to take pictures. But what I can do is figure out what there is to do in order to do something, be productive.
Right.
And when I shifted my mindset, I woke up on April 30th and with it's like I said before in the show, it's like a download. It was a download. All
Mhm.
all that I needed to do in order to produce this show. It just came to me, and I just started putting it all
Right.
together and pulling it all together. And
Mhm.
once you get into that mindset, it's amazing how it just changes. Things
Totally.
shift, and
The
just to be able to have,
clarity.
yep, clarity.
Oh,
Yep.
the
Yep.
clarity.
I
There
so
and it comes to you, and you really got to go with it,
right,
because it doesn't always happen.
right,
There are definitely times where you're stuck, and
right.
it's like, what do I do now, and how do I do it? And then when that download takes place, oh my God, it's fire.
It's fire.
I had the same
Yes.
thing happen to me during the
Beau-
quarantine.
Beautiful. So, what does living your best life despite crisis mean to you, Gigi?
um, to me, it's about controlling my happiness. Like you said, there are so many things that are out of our control right now that we have no ability to change, and so we adapt and we adjust and we amend the plans that we had. You know, with real estate and being abundant in this moment, I've still been working because real estate was considered an essential service. So I was out and showing homes, but I was showing them with a mask on, and I had gloves, and I had Clorox wipes, and I'm wiping everything down. I have gloves for my clients if they need them, a mask for my clients if they need them, because I want us to be safe. We're
Hmm.
doing physical distancing, but at the same time, work was still able to take place. And I'm grateful for that. So I did a lot of Zoom classes. I'm trying to learn as much as possible during this time period, so that I can, sorry, I'm trying to learn as much as possible during this time period. Like I said, so I come out better than I do. But it's faith. My faith is the anchor that supports me in everything that I do. I know that I've been through some really crappy situations, and I've come out alive. Basically, when you can look back on your journey and realize that you are stronger than you ever thought that you were. Anything I think that comes your way is something that you can overcome. Those obstacles can be overcome at any point. It doesn't mean that you're happy all the time. This, quarantine has not been fun. I spent a month cooking, and then I was done. I was like, I'm over it. I'm over the cooking. I'm over the cleaning dishes. I want to go back to my restaurants and have my normal life back. I want to not have to be 6 feet away from my girlfriend to celebrate her birthday. I want to be able to hug her. I want everybody to be able to hug each other. And we're going into phases where things are going to be difficult for a while. The economy's not going to open up as quickly as everybody wants, but I happen to be in an industry that's like food. People need food and they need housing, and so I'm sensitive to what people are going through. But while there are 20%, while there is 20% of the population that's unemployed right now, that means that 80% of the country is still employed, and those people still have plans to move forward.
Right.
And so I think that's a big thing for people to do while they're in isolation, is to make plans, take classes, make yourself better. Maybe you decide that the job that you're in is not the job that you want to be in, because you do want to live that abundant life, because you do want to be joyful in everything that you do. And I want to have harmony. That harmony is still really, really important to me. And when something is out of order, it has to go. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned for this year, is to make sure that those things that are not bringing me joy are not a part of my life, whether it's a person or a car or a home or a job, whatever it is. I like to be happy, and I like to smile, and I like to laugh, and I focus on those things during the days when I don't feel like smiling or laughing. So I do take time to allow myself to heal when I am feeling low, but I just don't allow myself to stay in that place for too long. I've been, when my mother passed away, that was a very dark time for me, and it took me a long time to come out of it. I try not to allow myself to go through something that long anymore. I
Mm.
I can lay in bed for a day and watch TV and sulk, and then the next day I got to get back up. I got to go out for a walk, and I got to take a class, or schedule a meeting or something, or figure out a new way to do my business that will allow me to be more effective and more efficient.
Mm. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, thank you so much, Gigi, for this time. I really appreciate this. On a personal note,
Hmm.
I've never told you this before, but I want to tell you now. When I was in homelessness, you called me and you said, "Hey, I'm having an event. Do you think you can come and take some pictures? You know, you might be able to get some clients from that." And you, people follow me, and I found out today that there are such people as silent supporters. I didn't know that.
Yes. Hmm.
And you called me and you invited me. You kind of knew my situation, didn't know the details, but you kind of knew my situation. And there's some people who look at person in a situation like that and think, oh, they deserve to be there because they were the one who using. They think all of the negative things. They think, oh, I'm better than them. Look at them. Look at where their life is now. But instead, you said, I see my brother. I see him trying. So let me reach out to him and let me see if I can at least help open a door for him. I thank you for that. That meant
You're welcome.
so much to me. And I needed that at that moment, because in that moment, when I left your event, I felt valued. I
Mm.
felt valued. And for you to be able to do that in my life, I thank you. So
You're welcome. My pleasure.
I want to end the show like I do by asking six check-in questions. I've been saying 5 check-in questions throughout this show, and it's really 6. So I apologize to my audience. It's really 6 questions, 6 check-in questions. And the first one is, Gigi, how are you feeling?
How am I feeling? I don't usually say I feel great, but I feel great because I'm having a good conversation with you.
Oh, thank you. What's not working?
Oh, what's not working? Cooking. No. My sleep pattern
Mm,
is completely off. It's a little bit more difficult these days to focus, and to accomplish things that you want to, because there's so much going on in the back of your mind. There's so much stress that's taking place around you, and every day you hear a story of someone that that lost someone to this virus, or you hear a story about people not paying attention to it, that they think it's just like the flu and that we're making a big joke out of it. But the reality is the flu kills about 50,000 people a year, or 60,000, and now we're up to 70,000 people who have died between January and May.
right,
So that's a big difference from the flu.
right.
So what's not working is, us not being able to have better control over this virus and testing, and making sure that the reopening plans are going to be smooth so that people don't get sick again.
Right.
But definitely it's affecting my sleep. So sleep is completely, I got bags now under my eyes. And just
I don't see them. What's working?
what is working?
Hmm.
I feel like what's working is I had a great time with my kids when they were both home. Um, I helped my son start a new blog online, and my daughter with her classes, or just she's been studying under me for real estate. So she's been coming out with me to look at some homes and pointing out things that I didn't see. And she's planning on getting her license. So hopefully she'll be my first agent under my new company. So that's working great. I feel like I'm doing a lot more video calls with family than I used to, and with friends, and just checking on each other and making sure that we're okay. So I think what's working is still that people love and care about each other, and that my village is still there and it's still strong and it's not going anywhere. And what's working is that my mindset is about positivity and abundance, versus versus being in a depressive or anxious filled state constantly.
Right, right. We can't move in lack. That's one of the things that I am realizing, that, like I mentioned earlier today, oh, I'm not really supposed to say that, and I'm not going to cut it out. But like I mentioned in my last episode, like I mentioned in one of my previous episodes, that none of the government money has come through for me in any way. But
Hmm.
I cannot move in lack. I cannot think in lack, because as long as I think in lack, then what will happen is I will stay in lack. So
Right.
I am the whole living in abundance. I I embrace that because I know that every interview that I do, every day, every minute, every second that I put into this project, it's just building something to come. And
Right.
I'm in I am already in abundance. I'm not lacking for anything.
Right.
What do you
It's,
need?
what do I need? Goodness gracious, more clients.
Okay.
So this will be a year of getting my website up and learning more social marketing tools, or partnering with someone who could do social marketing for me. But I need to grow outside of my network. For 5 years, it's been mostly a referral business. Like, I think 90% or more of my customers have come from a friend or a friend of a friend, or a former coworker or something. I need to, in order for me to grow and be abundant and to think bigger, I need to reach people that don't know me yet, so that I can grow this business and really start to transform my family's life. Adversity has definitely been, on our shoulders the last 22 years. Well, my kids growing up. And so we've learned, we spent so many years doing the things that we needed to do instead of the things we wanted to do. And so part of that abundant thinking is, what are the things we want to do? What are the things that we want to have in our lives? And putting that mindset into flow instead of just only doing the things that are needed and looking at it as a need, versus just a want. It's good to want things, and it's good to get the wants.
Right. Right. What are you proud of?
I'm proud that I'm still standing. A lot of people that have gone through the things that I've gone through, the trials and tribulations, they may not have gone through it with the faith and the joy that I came out of it with. And so I'm grateful that I can still see that positivity in almost every situation, and that I try really hard not to let the Brooklyn side come out, because when the Brooklyn side comes out, it's just not pretty.
Right. I can imagine.
It's there though.
What can you let go of?
What can I let go of?
Yes.
So during the 21-day meditation, you have to write a letter forgiving someone that you felt wronged you. And so I did that. And I feel like I released that from my spirit so that it no longer is weighing me down. And I need to let go of that. And the other thing I have, Coach T always says, is take yourself out of the equation. So if a friend doesn't use you as a realtor, don't be upset with them and hate them for life. Just be happy that they bought a home.
Right.
And maybe in the future they'll refer someone to you for business. But you've got to take yourself out of the equation and not have such a big ego sometimes, which I think is just normal for a lot of people to just do. But I could do without that.
Beautiful. Gigi, I'm gonna say that this is just part one, because there's just so much that we haven't covered that I think folks need to know about. So we'll have to revisit this conversation, and really get into your philanthropy work, because you do a lot for folks. That's why you are the 2019 Orange County Citizen of the Year. So we want to delve into that in our next interview. But there are going to be people who watch this, who live in Orlando, who may be wanting to move to Orlando and say, you know what, that's the kind of person I want to work for in real estate. How do they get in contact with you?
So the website it should be up this week. It's iconnect-realestate.com. We also have the Raise Your Glass promotions page. So you can find those two websites as active. Social media, you'll be able to find the same accounts. So the real estate company is called iConnect Real Estate. And like I said, I'm excited about that because it's connecting buyers and sellers and strengthening the community. And our events will continue to take place as well, because it's an important aspect of community building. making sure that we're supporting small businesses, making sure that we're supporting these nonprofits. They can also go to our website for our Girls Empowerment Program, which is the Greatest Investment Girls Empowerment Program, tgicamp.org. And we are doing a Support Our Seniors project right now because our high school seniors, about 20 of them, were not able to have a graduation. And so we're going to we're hosting an online fundraiser right now so that we can raise enough money to purchase items for their college dorms so that they have something to celebrate because they weren't able to celebrate themselves. So yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, Gigi Moorman. They can find me on those 2 websites. Definitely would love our people who are moving here from New York and Connecticut to hit me up, since I know it's like to live in both places. But here in Orlando, definitely reach out on social media and connect with me so that I can help in any way I can.
So we're going to post all of that information in the links of the show.
Awesome.
I actually have a content hub, www.lamontgphotography.com/, conquering through the crisis. No, conquering, just conquering, /conquering. And that is the content hub where you can go and get get all of that information for the show. So we'll put that up there. And thank you so much, Gigi. I appreciate you. You are one of the shining stars that I see, that I recognize in my life. And I appreciate you and thank you.
Thank you, Lamont, for all the
You're
kind words.
welcome.
And thanks for having me on your show. Congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
know that you will share a lot of fabulous stories with people that need to be inspired and empowered.
Yes. And this show today definitely inspires. And I thank you. I thank my audience. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow, we have another great show. Better. Let me start again. And I'm not cutting this out. We have more great content tomorrow with another great interview. So please tune in tomorrow at 12 noon. And I say to you, Gigi, and I say to you, the audience, make it a great day.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.